When we did not say anything, he explained, "The best thing about this service is that you can go through so many profiles without leaving your desk. The filters are good enough to provide you suitable matches, and you can interact with the person who interests you. Everything is so systematic. Above all, you don't need to worry about your physical location." Amardeep made some valid points, which is probably why we didn't have much to debate about. Well, I don't know if this thing is going to work, but it is worth giving a try. Who knows? Even MP was convinced. It was 1:30 a.m. Our empty stomachs remind our brains of their existence. Amardeep said, "It's quite late and I'm damn hungry. Let's get home." And he stood up, scratching his back. "So who's the first?" MP asked while we all are dusting our clothes. "The first one to marry, or first one to make his profile on the website?" Happy asked, laughing. "I think this guy." Happy pointed his finger at me. I don't know why. It was probably 4 a.m. by the time we had dinner and slept. And after a long time, we enjoyed the kind of sleep we used to enjoy in our hostel. That day became one of the most memorable days in our lives. We spent the next day visiting some of the best hangouts in Kolkata, and we went again to the launch ghat in the evening to ride the ferry to the other side of the city. And believe me, being on the ferry was no less amazing than boarding the Titanic in 1912. Being with your best friends is simply wonderful. We ate, drank, talked, and enjoyed to the fullest at a pub called someplace else. That was the last night of the reunion trip. All three of them came to drop me at Howrah station. Once again, the four of us hugged, just like we had at Hyderabad station on the last day of college. "Who's going to cry first?" MP asked. But all of us laughed at the stupid and senti question. The train called me with its final whistle. I got into the carriage and stood at the door, waving to them all. Train left the platform. I reached Bhubaneswar the next morning. The same morning, Amardeep and MP boarded flight back to their representative place. Soon afterwards, Happy also flew back to London. 3 weeks later, I was in my office, just like on any other weekday. I was checking out the photos that MP had shot of us all. During the reunion trip, he emailed them to us, and while I was looking at them in my Yahoo inbox, I noticed an ad flashing in the top left corner. It was an ad for a matrimonial site, Shadi.com, with a beautiful girl smiling and looking for a perfect match. Recalling our reunion decision, I clicked the hyperlink on this ad, which took me to the website. With the default filter enabled, I clicked the search button, and in no time I was on the result page with many families pic. Wow, some of them were damn pretty, and I wanted to check them all out. But before I could visit the sixth one, I was prompted to the registrar at the website, without which I couldn't browse through more profiles. The trailer was over, and to watch the whole movie, you had to register yourself. I didn't have much work that day, so I thought I would register myself and create my profile on the site. This is what I kept saying to Happy, Amardeep, and MP. Whereas it was actually the other way round. Those pretty faces on the result page forced me to make time in my hectic schedule, which involved project delivery to a client that very next day. Someone rightly said three things: wealth, women, and I always forget the third one, can make anything happen in this world. So, finally, my profile was on the website. I uploaded a nice photograph and unchecked any checkbox which asks to hide my whereabouts from girls who might be searching for me. I did not forget to mention my professional trips to the US and Europe either. After an hour or so, I was all set to check out those pretty faces again. I set my filter to check out all the Punjabi girls on the website and hit the search button. The result page displayed some 3-digit numbers, the total numbers of the profile that matched my search criteria. This was exciting, but I could only check out some 50 of them before my eyes grew tired. Still, among those 50 or so, there were a few whom I wanted to contact. But before I could do so, there came a heartbreaking moment. To talk to those pretty faces, I had to make a payment to the website. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Damn. The only cost-free part was a way to express my interest in them by clicking a button on their representative page. This would send a message from me to their inbox. But even if they give me an affirmation to interact, I still won't get their emails IDs unless I make the payment. I checked the amount. They were asking for 3,000 bucks for the yearly plan. No way, I said to myself. Then I thought I will only pay up if I happen to get good affirmation responses from those beauties. Till then, whenever I felt like it, I could ping any girl on their website to show my interest in their profile. This was the beginning of my experience with Shadi.com at the cost of my project delivery, which I almost screwed up. Apart from Happy, Amardeep, and MP, nobody else knew about my profile on the site. Not even my parents, because telling them that I was thinking of getting married meant string a hornet nest. The moment they find out, they would bring input from their acquaintance all over the planet. And Jesus, how I hated that. For the next day, I got responses to my requests. Every time I opened my inbox, there was this strange excitement, but most of the time, it didn't last long. The best one had declined me. The fact most of them had ignored me. Only a handful accepted my request, but unfortunately, they didn't appear that good. This website is good for nothing, I told myself, as if I was James Bond and all girls in the world would throw themselves at me the moment I approached them. And this is how Shadi.com went from high priority to the lowest priority. Time passed by and I visited the site once in a 2 or 3 weeks, clicking buttons on profiles that interests me, but without much expectation. Some more girls declined me, some girls I declined. A few wanted to interact, but their education was not impressive. Some called me up on my cell. To some I wrote a few SMS. A couple of them wanted me to move abroad, but I was not game. Some others. I could not convince that India was a better place to live in. During one of my short official trip to US, I also happened to buy the yearly plan for a girl who badly wanted to talk me. Damn, one of the three things: wealth, women, and the last one, which I always forget, that could make anything happen in this world. The second was already making me do things. The irony being that the girl whom I cubbed up 3,000 bucks for never got in touch. I lost all interest in the website. Then one evening, I received an SMS on my cell phone.
Hey, I'm Khushi. I received your message on other side. Can you please call me now?
That was 20 July 2006, 18:56 minutes 19 seconds. My cell phone's inbox still shows the date and time. When I got this SMS, I was in a conference call with a client in US. I quickly recall the name of the profile from which I had got an acceptance the week before, along with the contact mobile number and an email ID. I wrote an SMS in reply. I'm in mid of a conference call. Will ring you in another half an hour. The next very minute, my cell flashed the arrival of a new SMS.
I too have completed my conference call few minutes back. You complete your calls and I can wait till then.
After finishing my call, I dialed the number, but only after I had quickly browsed through her profile,
Hello?
said a beautiful voice from the other end. Hi, this is Raveen. Um, Khushi, she said in a pleasing and confident voice. Yep, I learned that in your SMS. Sorry I kept you waiting, but I was in the middle of an important conference call with the client. No problem, even I had some stuffs to complete. Our conversation began formally, but in no time it became quite relaxed and informal when we find out some amusing things. I learned that you were born in the month of February 1982. She said, Yes, 4th February. Anything specific? I wondered if I was supposed to recall something from her profile, but the only thing I remember then was that she looked beautiful in her picture. You might have noticed that my year and month of birth are same. Oh yes, 22nd February. I had seen that. I quickly rushing to my computer and scrolling through her profile. And you were born in Faridabad? No, I was born in Kolkata. My dad was in defense service. He was posted in Kolkata and was staying there with family. Really? You won't believe this? I shouted, attracting my co-workers' attention. What? You guess? I said, heading towards the staircase area, where I could talk to her without disturbing the others. Don't tell me you were also born in. But before she could complete her sentence, I shouted again, Yes! But how come? That's my mother's native place. And I don't know why we screamed and laughed in this fact. Thousands of people must have been born in the same year, the same month, and the same place, given our country's track record. But the way we reacted, there is something else we have in common. The classic music thing. I learned that you hold a degree in playing the sitar. I said, Yes, And you hold one in playing the tabla, right? Indeed, I learned to play it for 4 years. In fact, I was never interested, but my dad forced me to. Well, you know what? The only reason why I felt like connecting you, I'm not sure I understand, I said slowly. The hobby section in our profile said that you play the tabla and your interest in classic music was the only thing that differentiated you from the others and made me feel like talking to you, she clarified. So that was it. A tabla makes a girl want to talk to a guy. It was impossible to understand girls. But I feel like hugging my dad and thanking him for forcing me to learn the tabla. Even I got my degree after 4 years in Prague University, and we both are in the IT industry. She pointed out more things we had in common. Oh, yes, you work with CSC Noida. If I'm not wrong, I asked knowing that I wasn't wrong. And how could I be when her profile was in front of me? Yes, I work with CSC. Tell me something. My friends say that Infosys people are studious and good rank holders. Is it true? Are you expecting me to say no to that? She laughed. That was my first ever candid talk with a girl I hadn't seen yet. On the call, we touched base on various things. The last movies we had seen, our best friends, her family, my family, our college days, music, and other areas of interest. I had to say, listen, my battery is going to give up soon. I hope we are going to stay in touch. Your battery? She said, laughing. I mean, my mobiles. I started laughing too. Just kidding. But I believe we will talk again. Then she added suddenly, but before you hang up, you have to say one good thing. One good thing? Now, where on earth would I find one good thing to say? But I had watched a movie that day before and thanking God, I repeat a line from it. बिस्मिल का संदेश है कि कल लाहौर जाने वाली गाड़ी हम ककोड़ी पे लूटेंगे और उन पैसों से हथियार खरीदेंगे. Then I took a deep breath and waited. And she burst out into a big laugh. I still think it was a good line, but I don't know what made her laugh. Anyhow, I too joined in laughter, so that she would not think me stupid or lacking a sense of humor. Okay, I'm hearing the final beeps from my cell. It was really nice talking to you, Khushi, but we won't be able to talk more, though I want to. Same here. I like talking to you very much. See you. Yeah, bye. Instead of bye, you should say see you. It's nicer. It means we will interact again, she said and touched my heart somewhere. Her innocence and the candid way in which she talked to me had left its mark on my mind. See you, I said before I hang up. That night on my bed, I went over the conversation again and again, and I wondered, could I have been more humorous just to impress her further? Or was the call just perfect, the way it should have been? And was she thinking about the conversation too, at the very moment, sitting somewhere in her room? I don't know why, but I felt like calling her up again, and it was hard to curb the urge. But I had to control it, because I don't want to mess things up right in the beginning by becoming a guy who bothers her at 11:30 in the night. No, I said to myself loudly, switch off the lights and jumped into bed. Alone in my room, I was smiling, talking to nobody, and there was this different sort of feeling within me. I slept, just so that the night would pass and a new day would come when I could hear her beautiful voice once again. The next day, I waited for her call, though we not decided that she would supposed to call me. Still, I had this gut feeling that she would. By 10 in the office, I was getting restless. I wanted to hear a voice, but at the same time, I wanted her to call me up. Happy had given me this success funda. In the matter of girls, don't make them feel that you are going crazy after them. Just give some time and they will come back to you. At 11, I realized that Happy was a fool and I went ahead and SMS her a good morning, even though it was a little late for that. But I didn't receive any reply to my SMS and began wondering who was the real fool was. And the day I was also uncertain. Should I listen to my heart or brain? Both of them were pointing in opposite direction. My brain was telling my ego, what does she think of herself? Whereas my heart still wishes to hear her voice. Call it my weakness or my effort to curb my ego. A little later, I did what my heart told me to do, and I dialed her number. Hey, how are you? Khushi picked up the phone. When wishing you a good morning, the sender also expects a similar response. I'm fine. I was going to reply on the way to the office. You mean you are still at home? Yeah, actually, we work in the afternoon shift as we have to be sync with our UK based clients. Hey, my cab's outside, she said, rushing and saying bye to her mom. I could hear the door being closed and her hi to her friend in the cab. After she got in, we resumed our talk. So, what's up? I asked her. Amidi was there this morning, she said. Remember her mentioning a couple of names during our previous call, but I could hardly remember who was who among them. Amidi? I murmured, trying to recall the name. I have three sisters and one brother. Nishadi is the eldest and lived in Ludhiana. She has a very sweet kid, Dan, who is studying in nursery. Amidi is the second and she too is married. She lives in Noida, an hour's drive from our place, and work with the BPO. Deepu, my brother, is 2 years younger than me and is working with an MNC in Assam. They deal with oil wells stuff. And Niru is the youngest, my sweet little sis. She told me about her siblings again with no complaints or questions as to how I forget about them so soon. She continued, and apart from this, mom and dad are with us. And in your family, it's your mom and dad, you and your younger brother Tinku, who is also a software engineer at Infosys. And his office is in the same building as yours. Expect he is on the first floor and you on the second floor, right? And that was a silent slap to my memory. See, remember everything about my family. All I could do was say, 10 on 10, and laughed. But I laughed alone. So, I was saying, Amidi was here this morning after completing her night shift. She came to Faridabad. She visited us once in a week or two. This call was all about her family. I came to know about two more people. Devendra Jiju, Mishadi's husband, and Pushkar, Amidi's husband. Pushkar and Amidi used to work in the same company, and they happened to fall in love, which was not a good idea according to Khushi's dad. The hurdles they had to face were no different from any love story in Bollywood movies. Pushkar comes from a Hindu family, whereas Amidi belongs to a Sikh family. Pushkar is cool with boozing and non-veg, while these things are a taboo in Khushi's family. But then, as we learn from these same movies, love in the end wins all the battles. And that is what happened here as well. All the youngsters in Khushi's family successfully convinced their dad to give his approval for the marriage. In that call, Khushi also mentioned that she used to leave her office around 9:30 at night and reach her home by 11, which meant that she would be awake for quite a while and I could call her late at night in case I felt the way I had the night before. So that was how we started calling each other, writing messages, even wishing each other good night. But in our initial calls, we never touched upon the purpose of which we had started interacting, marriage. She continued, see, every person has some likes and dislikes. When we talk about marriage, it's about respecting each other's feeling, it's about trust, a few compromises, and much more. And if you are going to be my life partner, I sincerely urge you to choose a life without alcohol. She was the first among us to say, if you are going to be my life partner. And in her voice, those words sounded so different, so magical. End of part 2. Thank you for listening. Hope you guys will love it and wait for the next part.